here without that Poppy counter pick really being available. And we'll have to see what the game plan is here then for Gala in that bottom side of the map.
Well, that's the Zeri locked in, but Taliyah does go over now to RNG. We know, again, you mentioned it, never seen a 0-4 Taliyah be so influential in those mid-game fights against EDG and Xiaohu. Very comfortable on this, especially when you combo with something like a wukong. The combination of that mid-jungle 2 is just insane as well in the early game.
Yeah, and now we're going to see the Gnar being picked up here for Rare Adam as well. Just an easy blind pick, no real bad counters in the top side. And again, I think with the way that this team fight is set up for RNG, the fact that you have this Taliyah now who can throw down the Unraveled Earth, it makes it very easy against all the dashes that Rare Adam have. You get a ton of value. And now, because you know it's a short range composition, Gala goes towards the Sivir. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not very good at AD carry. And I've played a handful of Sivir games. And she is terrifying. The amount of push she gets in lane, the fact that you're able to consistently get these ricochet blades off, bouncing back and forth in team fights, specifically around like neutral objectives where everyone's clumped. Her late game damage is terrifying.
Yeah, it really, really is. It always was, but I think the thing is now is that they have moved her away. Again, she received a little bit of a mini rework or update, shall we say. Not going to go into nitty-gritty, but basically moved her away from lethality into crit, back into that big late-game carry like you were just mentioning. And now for RNG, honestly, I think they're very happy with what they've got, but I think that Rare Adam have some fantastic answers for them. We know how powerful the Gnar is on this patch. We've seen many and many champion and top laner do so damn well on this pick. And for Zeri and Viego as well, you're going to be in a lot of good standing if you can get those small kind of tight corridor skirmishes that you want for RA.
They just really need engage on Rare Adam's side. Like, you don't have a guaranteed one with the Gnar. So I'm really curious to see how they round this out. I feel like something like a Nautilus or something along the lines of a Leona could be great, but it's always a little bit wonky when you're up against the Sivir because of the spell shield. So Alistar may actually be the answer here for Rare Adam. Alistar's always been a traditionally really strong pick into the Sivir because you headbutt, pulverize. Only one of the headbutts can actually be stopped by the spell shield, so it gives you the actual engage that you need. And honestly, being able to maybe take Wukong out of these fights, knock him back out before he can get a second Cyclone off, can be really good in a more defensive route as well. So it looks like Rare Adam might be eyeing that up, especially with the Nautilus ban here, but we'll have to see.
See what they want to go for. As I said, the Nautilus been banned away by Rare Adam. As I said, the Alistar very much an option here for RNG. You would imagine they will go towards their support pick here. Or actually, technically, they go towards top lane. They know it's going to be a Gnar. So pick up the top lane here, then leave the support for counter. And honestly, breathe on something like a Jax. We know how powerful he can be, and that's exactly what we want to go for. So again, more just lane power coming out from RNG.
Exactly, and it means that as well, like, you've got the ability for Breathe to kind of take over the lane on the top side by himself, and then you should be relatively fine to, when he comes into team fights, set him up because of the engage options that you have from the Wukong. Leona, though, going to be potentially hovered here. I still think the Alistar's the best bet. Rakan, it still can be difficult to land the charm to allow you to get the lockup later, especially when you look towards Sivir having the extra move speed coming through from the ultimate. So we'll have to see how effective Yuyanjia can be, but at least it's adding that engage that Rare Adam desperately need here.
Yeah, you wanted a little bit of engage. I think Rakan's got plenty of it, and of course it does kind of synergize well with things like the Zeri, of just kind of moving in, getting on top of people, and kind of, you know, kiting in and out of fights. We will see the Viktor coming in here as the answer into Taliyah. Viktor slowly making his way back up into the meta, and it is just a standard control mage. Can take over a game in those later stages, but very difficult to really gank, but also not really one that can roam around that often either.
No, it's one that's definitely more mid lane focused and can have some decent push in matchups, and that's kind of where a lot of his strength comes from. But against the Taliyah still should be able to shove, and we know what Xiaohu's like when he's able to get these roams off. So I like what RNG have got here. Two strong side lanes that you can play around, a great late game carry, which has pretty much become the staple in RNG's compositions. And that's why oftentimes when they talk about, oh, well, we don't really mind if we lose the early game, we're still going to be fine late game, it's because oftentimes we see Breathe and Gala on these late game threats like the Jaxes, the Gwens, the Jinxes, the Aphelioses, and now just another one for the back pocket of Gala is this Sybil.
Yeah, and I think as well we can kind of talk about this, you know, RNG composition as well, and talk about how it's very reminiscent of 2021 RNG, where they were kind of seeing Wei and Ming linking up, getting themselves together, either working with Xiaohu or trying to work out with Breed, and leaving Gala on a little bit of an island. And honestly, you'd feel like that would be a bad thing for Gala, but you looked up a little bit of a stat at about solo kills, and for an AD carry, the man's just nuts.
Yeah, Gala has the 4th most solo kills in the league right now, which is absolutely absurd.
Absurd.
Yeah, I think, what was it? He's only behind the Shy, Knight, and I cannot for the life of me remember who the 3rd person was, but 10 solo kills as an AD carry is insane. So definitely the fact that he's managed to pick up a lot of these is absolutely spectacular, and it does kind of show that an awful lot of the times he is kind of being left to his own devices, but being able to find these moments in lane where he can go aggressive, especially on things like the Aphelios. But we'll have to see how he does on the Sivir, because Sivir, less of a champion that has that agency. She definitely likes a team that can try and enable her, which is why I like things like the Leona being here, because she wants someone who can kind of start the fight off, allow her to approach, because she's an incredibly short-range AD carry, so you definitely need people that can get the fight started. So Wukong, Leona, going to work perfectly here, and Rare Adam will need to make sure that they're keeping themselves safe.
We'll have to wait and see how it all ends up fanning out. We are jumping onto the Rift for game 1 of this best of 3. Of course, it is going to be RNG versus Rare Adam. Rare Adam need a win. It cannot be overstated. If you're going into the final 5 games of the split at 2 and 9 on your scoreboard, that is not where you want to be, especially for a team that made playoffs in spring. And for RNG, it's about keeping the pressure on those top 3. They are 1 loss down, but they still have to play JDG later on in this week, I believe. So plenty to be coming out here from the side of RNG, the MSI champions. And yeah, we're going to see a defensive rune kind of set up in the top side. Cube going towards that fleet footwork, pretty centered enough. Grasp the Undying for Breed. So both sides kind of recognizing that as long as they don't lose too much health in the skirmishes, there's no real kind of kill pressure in the 1v1 unless we see a massive all-in.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, the only place that there is really the kill pressure is potentially topside, but that's more when you're looking at like level 8, level 9, potentially even waiting for that first item to come through realistically before Breed can have that kill pressure there. It's all for those initial few resets that Cube should be able to keep an advantage for himself just because he's got the range and can generally hop away from Breed, but you do have to just be so careful of the counter-strike when you're trying to go for trades here as Cube. But I am really going to be focused on what Wei is doing in the early stages with Xiaohu, because you've got a ton of pressure with this mid-jungle. Great skirmishing, great pressure, great gank setup for with Xiaohu as well. It all works really neatly here for RNG, and Strive and Leyan just can't really match that aggression.
Can't really match it, and it's set up exactly where because we haven't really talked about the junglers as such, really. We all got the Viego versus the Wukong, kind of becoming the new trade back as such. We saw something similar in spring, where we just kind of had the junglers kind of going for these 2 very solid picks. Where do we expect to see them kind of, you know, they're both starting on the bot side, moving up to the top. Do we expect to see anyone kind of going for any big moves in the early game, or just kind of standard laning phase until, like you said, you hit those level 6 and those first items?
I honestly think for Leyan, the best bet is to try and wrap back around towards your bot side of the map. You have Breathe with a decent push in top side here. Taliyah will have full push mid, and if you ever try to contest where Wei is, it's going to get really, really tough for you to try and get a scuttle crab for yourself. But it looks like he's actually just going to go straight up towards this top side, so I'm pretty sure Wei's going to be able to get, honestly, both scuttles if he wants to, or maybe even just take top scuttle, and with Gala and Ming having push on bot side, they can rotate over and take this bottom scuttle crab. So it's a bit of a difficult time for Leyan at the moment with, you know, bot and mid having almost guaranteed push generally because of the matchup, and in theory Cube should have push top, but he's actually in a little bit of a bad spot, so gonna be just backing away from this one.
Yeah, as you said, you got Xiaohu roaming up. You can see Wei just said, look, I'm gonna take the scuttle. I will say Leyan, though, in a decent position to be able to get a bit of a kind of a power lead, I suppose, over Wei, as he is a level up, so he's just going to be able to run straight in through the mid lane and get himself the scuttle down bot side. But as you mentioned, Gala and Ming have already roamed themselves down, so there's not even an objective there. So really nice call here from RNG, and this is kind of just, it's just kind of par for the course of how they like to play the game. This is very RNG-esque because they just play it so smartly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think for Leyan, the biggest thing you need to do in this scenario is try and desync from Wei. And generally what that means is just like, okay, well, I'm going to take a bit of a funky path in here, so then I actually amn't just matching Wei as he goes through his camps. Now, he should have a bit of an easier time because Wei is a little bit slower. Like, Wei hasn't got his reset in here, which means naturally he should kind of be out of rhythm with Wei as he goes through his camps. And that's where maybe he can try and make a couple of cross maps, because realistically for Leyan, you do not want to try and match Wei in any of these ganks. Wei is just so much stronger. He's able to bring a lot more damage to the table. He's got the...
For RNG, what is the expectation for this team? Because I feel like every single year we always come in and say, like, you know, the MSI champions, as we do jump back into game, a little bit of an engagement. There's the spell shields we were just talking about. But RNG, they are a team that every single year, spring champions, the emperors of spring, you know, the little tiger in Xiaohu. It feels a little bit different now in summer. It feels like they finally haven't gotten that big lull. As we can see now, maybe a little bit of a move from Xiaohu here. He's going to try and just kind of wait out Cube to go a little bit too far forward. He's waiting for the hop, but going to get him knocked back a little bit. The flash is going to come out, and Cube's going to have to back himself away.
Okay.
Nicely done by Breed. He tanks up the tower perfectly. First blood to RNG.
Great job from RNG, and this is what we're talking about. Xiaohu having that push in the mid lane and being able to roam around the map. That's exactly what we needed to see. And now Breed, with an early start in this lane, is going to give him a great start.
Yeah, it really, really is. And we come straight back in, and RNG, you know, kind of coming in. Yuyanjia doing his best to try and make sure this wave does not crash. I like it, but he's playing with fire, Dagda.
Yeah, he definitely is, and taking a good amount of damage in response. So it looks like Gala, anyway, is just going to try and push this wave. It does stop, or at least allow iBoy to be able to get a good amount of this wave, but he does have to be careful because he is alone under this bot lane tower, and I'm spotting Wei moving down, but it looks like he's just going to take the dragon instead.
Yeah, and I love that we're seeing Xiaohu do this so often. It feels like he does it every single game. Xiaohu does not care if he falls behind in the lane. Xiaohu does not really want to be, you know, 1v1 me, bro, take away, you know, I'm 10, 12 CS ahead of you, you know, at a point where we should be equal. He knows that his job and his best way of playing so far this split has just been him facilitating around the rest of his team.
Might need to cover top, though, because there's 2 members already up here for Rare Adam. 1 more on the way. Leyan trying to get the cross map.
He's going to go for the cross map, but you can see Xiaohu already starting to move his way up here. Cube going to lose Mega very, very shortly. Ooh, that's not good. They will get the stun afterwards, but not really in a position to go for this one. Breed does come in, the Weaver's Wall there. Now Xiaohu says, hello, I'm back again. They will not get the flick back as it's going to be a 4v2 on the top side. Flash away by Xiaohu as he tries to make this one work. Breed jumps straight back in, trying to dodge away from the gravity well and also from the ultimate from the Viktor. Strive gets ignited as he's in a very bad position. Double flick back as Xiaohu and Breed are 2v4ing. Now the cavalry has arrived and RA need to get the hell out of dodge. Wei is there. He's going to try and get on top of Cube, who does not have flash. Will have Mega very, very shortly, but RNG survive, and RA, they threw everything and they couldn't make it stick.
Just really good answer from RNG. We talked about Xiaohu needing to cover that top side. He got a very quick reset off so he could manage to get up into that top side with the Weaver's Wall and managing to save Breed there. As well, Counter-Strike coming in clutch. I don't know if we'll get a replay there, but a lot of people forget that Counter-Strike not only dodges basic attacks, it also gives you 25% reduced damage on AoE abilities. So things like the ultimate coming through from the Viktor there, not actually doing its full amount of damage, and Breathe just about manages to skedaddle away. So nicely done by RNG to shut down the cross map Rare Adam we're going for against the dragon.
And I love this as well because it kind of is exactly what we talked about in Pick and Ban as well. RNG are linking up together as a team. It's why Gala has the 4th highest solo kills in the league, because he's left here in bot lane by himself so often. Even the fact that Ming still hasn't come back into lane shows you just how RNG want to play. And again, it's very, very similar to how they played in spring 2021.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference is that we're seeing kind of Xiaohu being more of an engage tool on things like the Sandra, on a Taliyah, which honestly is the most surprising for me because I always consider Taliyah more of like a secondary engage tool, but Xiaohu kind of making it work as kind of really the primary form of engage in a lot of situations, which is slightly hilarious, but definitely the cogs for RNG are turning spectacularly at the moment, and it feels like they're really getting into the swing of things with leaning into the fact that the durability update gives you the late game scaling that you want. Finding these moments to slow down the pace of the game, using wave state, using moments to invade like this.
Strive. Yeah, moments to invade, and nowhere for him to really go. There's the secondary flick back that you were talking about for the Taliyah, and honestly, this is just prime RNG. They know what they want to do. They know where they want to do it. And the fact that they can tell that Leyan is going to be invaded, it means they can keep going for this because they know that they can keep going aggressive in top as well.
And there's just nothing you can do to respond here as well. This is kind of what we we're talking about in the early stage of the game, is like Leyan not having priority from lanes, the early skirmishing not as strong as RNG's is, and RNG are just using that spectacularly. Now they have the Rift out, now they've gotten some kills in the mid lane, this mid jungle that we we're talking about looking spectacular, but Gala going to be in trouble with the response.
They're going to try and maybe make this one work. Good flash. He spell shielded as well. I think he was expecting the quickness to be used there, as now Ming is available here on the Weaver as well. Xiaohu hasn't been mid in so damn long. The flash in, he gets the knock up, the flick back, and the boomerang braid. Here's a slice of pizza, and there's nothing else you can do. This is actually perfect from RNG. It's insane how much they're doing in such a short amount of time.
The fact that Ming hit 6 off that initial kill onto iBoy was heartbreaking for Yuyanjia. Thought he'd be able to escape, but wasn't allowed. And I mean, I'm kind of surprised to see Gala flash this. There is no minion that's about to die, and Yuyanjia was level 5 still, so I thought he'd just absorb it with the spell shield. But as we talked about, Xiaohu managing to get the roam off, having full control, and you get the level 6 here for Ming, actually just off the minions that died in the back, and with that, you can actually pick off Yuyanjia as well. Gorgeous stuff off the RNG side.
I mean, this is what I was talking about. This feels very different RNG in summer. This feels like an RNG that, yes, they did swap out Bin for Breathe, but Breathe has been kind of adjusting into the system. It was a bit of a slow start for sure, but they've only lost against teams above them in the standings. The only 2 losses they have are against Top Esports and V5, which both went to 3 games. So this is still a massive threat in the LPL. And honestly, I feel like right now it just is so hard for RA to get stuff going when they're in this kind of form.
And it's the reason that RNG have been so terrifying for so long. I mean, obviously looking back at 2020, losing Uzi, a lot of question marks were there for RNG, being like, hey, look, what is this team going to do? How are they going to respond? With Gala coming in, not exactly the massive AD carry player that a lot of people were hoping for, and they started to change. But as Gala has grown over the course of these last few splits, he has now become a threat into and on himself, and RNG are willing to give him the resources, become that late game threat. And with Xiaohu now finally back home in the mid lane, it looks unbelievable. But we'll have to see exactly what RNG can do, because Rare Adam are trying to set up for this dragon. They have full control over River, but I mean, you've got the Taliyah Weaver's Wall in just a little while to see if they can cut people off. But it looks like with 2 kills already for Xiaohu, way looking great, they don't want to go.
iBoy. Yeah, I was going to say he's going to need to get himself over the wall and far away, because he is not in a position to be able to take that. And we can see that RNG are very prepared for this Zeri and saying, look, we just don't believe that the Zeri is going to do exceptionally well into the Sivir. It doesn't have that kind of pushing power to punish the roams coming out from Ming, where Ming just hasn't been in that bot side. And you can see it just there that Gala's got a CS lead at this point as well, so he's not even going to be punished for anything really, in the sense that, you know, leaving Ming or Ming leaving him alone will do. So for RNG, they get 2 dragons, drop Rift Herald into mid as well, so they're going to be able to kick up themselves at least 2 plates off of that and at the end of it. So it's just, again, RNG playing so smart. Yes, it's only about 1,000 gold lead, but it's the fact that it's getting it from such smart movement is just a big thing for me.
Breathe even stole away Gromp on the top side as well. So, I mean, they're just doing as much as possible to take away everything from RA that they can. And RA just really don't know how they're supposed to respond. And we talked about it, like, they can't really respond. I mean, now they're even trying to DC from the game. Like, they just want...
Been resolved, so hopefully we will be coming back straight into the game. But Dagda, for any new viewers, for anyone who's not quite sure what's been going on, where are we, what's been happening, and why are RNG 4-0?
We're in the game, Oisin. That's where we are. But yeah, I mean, it's just been RNG utilizing the fact that we talked about, you know, strong mid jungle, get control there. Xiaohu able to have roams, and look, he's dropping a little bit of CS every time he goes for these roams, but it's been paying dividends. 2-0-2. Kraken Slayer already picked up in the bottom lane for the Sivir as well. She's well on her way to becoming that late game threat, and Breathe as well, getting some help there means he's got that early Divine Sunder, which very quickly changes this matchup, as you can see in the top side, where Breathe can actually start to play hyper aggressive when he can get onto this mini Gnar.
See if he can play hyper aggressive. Does have a 10 CS lead, but is down in terms of the completed items. Divine Sunder, a double Divine Sunder being picked up for the top side of Breathe and Way as we come back into the game. We start to see where you want to go. You've got the Kraken Slayer now for RNG. And also, the big thing that we kind of never really got to touch on is they've got 2 dragons, so they can pick and choose when and where they go for these fights. And speaking of going for fights, looks like Wei already starting to look like he'd be a more aggressive move up to this top side because they've got push and top. Look at Xiaohu on the minimap.
Yeah.
He's already going for a little bit of a sneaky move to try and catch out Cube.
Yeah, the Weaver's Wall will reach across the blue buff as well, so they've got to be incredibly safe. And you'd imagine Cube is thinking, oh, well, they went for this invade. That's the play. So he's going to walk up, think he's safe.
Oh, that was so well played from Xiaohu. He said, I'm going to put the seismic shove behind you. I'm going to put the ground in front of you. So even if you jump towards us, you're going to die. Honestly, Dagda, this is just textbook League of Legends from RNG. There's nothing else to it. I don't know if Dagda's still here. Dagda?
Sorry, I thought I hit the unmute button. Thank you. Absolutely masterful from RNG. They've looked absolutely incredible the entire way through, and now they get the Rift Herald. You can't really respond to this, even though you've moved iBoy and Yuyanjia up here. I mean, I don't really think you can try and make this happen.
I mean, they're going to be able to do it for the moment, but you've got Strive down the bot side. He's going to be answering the push that Gala put in. RNG, we're just kind of saying, look, we don't need to take the fight just yet. We can re-establish control. We can go for this as Breed jumps in aggressively onto Leyan. And they're just going to be able to kind of double Divine Sunder themselves in here. You can see there's the Counter-Strike down. They're going to try and get the Heartbreaker out of him. The flash away, but the Weaver's Wall is going to put Cube in a bad spot, who also has to flash. That's a hell of a lot of your engage no longer there. Now you're going to see the quickness, but how can Yuyanjia get in? You've used so much here, Dagda. RNG going to have total control.
But this is the thing. Rare Adam keep trying to make these plays happen when you know that Xiaohu has Weaver's Wall, when Xiaohu can get to there faster, when RNG already have control over the area. Now, look, it did force them to bring up Gala, but Gala's totally fine here. He's just going to be able to clear out this wave. You still get ripped out. You've lost push on bot side as well. Like, everything has gone the wrong direction for Rare Adam on that play.
Yeah, it really did. And the fact that you're losing flashes now, you lost ultimates, you're just going to have to try and... It makes it harder to find that, kind of find that comeback play. The big thing that I always say is that, yes, fair enough, you didn't, fight at the Rift Herald, but you got Viktor a load of farm and bot side, or maybe you were able to, set yourself up. I'm going to say that, though. Wei's going to find Yuyanjia, who's in a little bit of a precarious predicament. But with the blast gun there, should be just fine. And yeah, this is just bad to worse for RA. And yes, it is only 1,000 gold. We mentioned that. It feels like an eternity ago, but it has only been a couple of in-game minutes. And it's still the way it's going about it. Again, late game is in favor of RNG. A front-to-back team fight with the Jack split pushing even as well. That's just going to be so hard for RA to deal with.
I mean, across the board, there's very little that Rare Adam can actually try to fight back with here, right? You've got great late game scaling coming through with the Sivir, who's well on her way at this stage. You've got full dragon control here with 7 seconds left. I mean, unless you find some miracle engage here with Yuyanjia, it's just not going to be it.
Yeah, you're going to be hard stuck to make this one work. All 5 members of RA are here because they don't have a teleport on Q, but Bree does. So Bree's just kind of saying, cool, if we delay this fight, if we just do not let you do anything, we're going to get so much on the top side of the map. He's just continuing to push. He's going to try and, just get some more pressure down. And yeah, look, RNG don't have to fight this.
Yeah, they don't really care. They're just playing this nice and slow. Xiaohu still has a ton of control coming through with the Unraveled Earth as well. So trying to get these engages is so difficult. And here you go.
Yeah, they're going to go for it. The solo player comes in. They get the flick back. Remember that flash he used earlier? Still not available. Ming picks up that kill because he popped down the ignite. You can see iBoy, after popping the ultimate, trying to make this one work. The Cyclone is good. They're turning back down onto iBoy, though. And iBoy has to flash away. Breathe is joined in as Gala's pushing forward. It is a massacre. It is perfection from RNG as they are just smashing RA.
It's not even close right now. Complete control from RNG. Beautiful team fighting. And again, remember what we talked about with Rare Adam? Like, this isn't a team that has ever kind of strived in team fights, done well when it comes towards these front-to-back 5v5s, and we got to see it there. Rare Adam spread out way too far. RNG pounce on towards one side, and even in a 4 versus 5 scenario, they come out on top. Like, Cube here is trying to threaten the dive, make sure that he's got Mega Gnar, but RNG just turn and say, hey, your Gnar bar isn't high enough, we can pick you up before the fight starts. Yuyanjia then tries to go for the engage, but wait, fantastic Cyclone for the disengage, and that means that there's nowhere left for Rare Adam to try and jump in. You've even got the TP coming through from Breathe. All the pieces of RNG are working so incredibly well.
Yeah, it just feels like RNG have just read them at every single point, and now it's a 5,000 gold lead. Remember I said it was 1,000, now it's 5,000. It's literally gotten up 5 times from that. Yeah, honestly, unless there's some massive errors coming out from the side of RNG, RA are going to struggle so hard to come back into this one here. And again, I can't praise RNG enough. They have called RA at every single point, at every single dragon fight, at every single point of which they could maybe contest. RNG have just had an answer, and it comes off of the back of what they drafted. Breathe, very comfortable in the sideline against the Gnar. The Sivir is going to be able to wave clear 4 days, now sitting on a full item ahead of iBoy. It's just so hard to really make anything stick here for RA.
And already you can see again RNG trying to put the pressure on. Spring Emperor leading the charge here in Xiaohu, and this is why RNG are so terrifying when they get Xiaohu onto something that is capable of roaming. They're so good at using that effect to push in on towards the bot side here, like get control over the jungle, utilize the map effectively, and Xiaohu is essentially the puppet master, telling everyone what they're supposed to be doing. Breathe, push in on top side. Xiaohu's gonna hide in the river or in the jungle here because he's got the Weaver's Wall, just gonna play essentially both sides of the map and make sure that if Rare Adam ever try and overstate their presence, well, there's the engage.
Yeah, there is the engage. Solar Flare comes out, but it does miss out. But that's 2 inner turrets being taken out, and RA don't have an answer. There's not as if they're kind of going for something on the other side of the map. I will say they will get a tier 1, maybe in the bot side, but that turret finally goes down. Is that really worth it? You see a TP coming out just to try and defend. Sorry, not a TP. It was a recall. It's very hard to see sometimes in the small little in-game one. But yeah, this is rough, Dagda. And look again, like Leyan's trying. He's 0-0-0, but when you don't really have that kind of big primary engage, Yuyanjia has to go in by himself. There's not really a lot else you can do.
I mean, Rare Adam trying to see if they can get picks. This is probably their one way back into the game. Maybe they can find some. We're going to back away. I mean, you're looking at where iBoy is, looking at where Cube is. They just don't really have people in the area to try and make things happen. And as you say, 2.5 minutes until Dragon. I mean, I think their best bet was to try and use the fact that Cube had got pushing bot side to already establish vision control into this bot lane, as Yuyanjia will get a shield bash in the face, but I'm trying to look for picks, trying to see if they can get better vision control in the area, but trying to over-force and over-chase RNG out of your jungle doesn't really get anything. They'd already taken everything that was on that top side, and unfortunately now they just don't really have any more map pressure. As RNG have got the quicker resets, they'll move into this bot side jungle, start to establish vision. They already have a ton of control over Baron, so honestly they can threaten both right now, where they shove mid, can always fall back to Dragon, have one person even just breathe, solo out the Dragon if they want to, while the other 4 members keep threat on Baron. And with the Kraken Slayer rapid fire already completed for Gala, this is going to hurt if they get on towards the Baron.
It really is, and honestly, the thing is as well is that RA aren't really in a position to, as you say, threaten Baron themselves, because RNG have already put themselves in a way to say, look, we're going to be able to control this area, so even if you try and go for it, it's not really going to work out. There's going to be the Weaver's Wall to cut off any real escape, as we can see flash in. There's a solar flare down. They're going to catch out into Leyan. He tries to flash away. Dagda, it's fish in a barrel, and they've got a double-barreled shotgun. That's the width of the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely just domination from RNG. Great job from Xiaohu to cut them off. Just utilizing the Weaver's Wall to make sure that there was no way that they were going to be able to run. Once you get in behind them as well, the Unraveled Earth means that they can't really use any of their dashes to escape. And RNG now turn over towards the Baron. They'll take this and look at the timer. Perfect timing for them to rotate down to the bottom side. And you still have Leyan and iBoy dead on Rare Adam's side. This is just really good play. I mean, Xiaohu showing exactly how dominant this Taliyah can be, setting up great control here. Follow-up is immaculate from RNG, and it's simple as you like. I mean, what do you do? Like, what do you do, Rare Adam? Yeah. I can't even blame this on the connection issues. Like, this is just RNG slapping you about.
Yeah, it really is. Now Yuyanjia gonna have to use his battle dance, you would imagine, to try and get himself out. There's the quickness coming out. They're gonna try and burn down Breed, but Breed's got himself the Grandmaster's challenge, and he's gonna keep pushing in. Flake back. iBoy cleanses and flashes away, but he's already dead, Dagda. This is the scariest iteration of RNG I think I've ever seen. This is a team that is just toying with RA and not letting them have a moment. You got a tower, one tower, and that's it as RA.
I like the way we both had to do the double check there. That it wasn't actually a perfect game, but
yes.
Q will get caught out. Not going to be able to follow it up there by RNG, but I mean, they're totally fine. You've got pushing bot side. They just want this last outer turret. They more than likely, though, I will say, could have moved someone in towards mid lane here, namely Xiaohu, to start like pushing in that wave if they wanted to, just to have like threat across the board. But it looks like with how long they've stayed on the map, they're just comfortable to get this reset in and then try and return even more powered up than they already stupidly are. Let's be real.
I mean, you have 3 items onto Breathe. And I don't even think 3 people are enough to kill him right now because he has got the force of nature. And yeah, look, this is Breathe being a force of nature and saying, look, it doesn't matter. I'm going on you. You use everything. They CC him up, but it's a frozen heart. iBoy can't do the damage.
He's also like 2 levels up minimum on everyone in that fight. And now Yuyanjia trapped again.
Yeah, they're going to catch him out and going to try and see if they can kill him off. It's just a death ball of Breathe and Ming saying, you know what, we're going to be able to take you all out. He doesn't care who else is here. He's going to continue to go forward now. iBoy, no cleanse, no flash, and sadly for him, no life. It is 0 and 15, a Hex Soul, a Baron still ticking, and Dagda, this was perfection. This was nothing more than just absolute domination.
I mean, the Nemesis Jack skin definitely feels fitting for Breathe in this one, just ripping people apart. And as you say, I mean, this is game. I mean, how do you defend this? You've got no iBoy, you got no Yuyanjia.
You don't. You got no iBoy, you got no Yuyanjia, you got no chance in hell. There's Weaver's Wall right at the end. 25 and a half minutes, as close to a perfect game as you can possibly get here as RNG. They gave up a single tower, and that was it. That was, honestly, I'm nearly willing to make that a perfect game if it literally wasn't for the definition of perfect.
I think that's the whole definition of perfect. That is just a game. If you're not going with the perfect game, that is just a game. But I mean, yeah, really, really good stuff coming through from RNG. They look spectacular. Absolutely incredible performance. And this is why this team can be absolutely terrifying when they get the tools that they need to, right? Way early advantage in the jungle matchup. Roaming mid for Xiaohu. Scaling on both top and bot side. Like, it's a very clean system that RNG have, and one that, as you can see, is terrifying when it gets up and running, because they can command the early game, command the mid game. I mean, hell, we didn't even get to a late game in this one. 25 minutes and this one was over.
Yeah, I mean, it almost felt like this game was, you know, could have been over at, honestly, like the 18-minute mark, 19-minute mark. It just felt like they needed the extra few 5 or 6 minutes to really kind of end it all. But yeah, again, I don't think RNG are ever going to be our fastest team in the league, but they are definitely one of the best. And it just feels like time and time again, they are just consistently finding things better. And honestly, I feel like this is a great example of what they can do with Breathe. I feel like Breathe finally fitting into the mold that RNG need him to be, because there was definitely some valid questions about this guy at the start of the split. It's starting to work out. And again, this is a perfect time to build up that momentum.
And that's the thing, is that for RNG, we kind of talked about, look, 8-2 at the moment. This is a squad that wants to show that they are deserving to be in that top 4 spot, representing us at the World Championship, especially coming off the back of an MSI victory. And it took them a bit of time, let's be realistic, for RNG to ramp up into the split. We talked about Wei struggling a little bit at the start of the split, not really knowing what his identity was on this squad. But now you can see when they have figured out how they want to play the game, that's when RNG are most terrifying. And they're not really a team that, as we've seen over the course of like their last few splits, a team that like needs to have multiple different styles. They are incredibly good at just drilling the same style over and over and over and becoming masters of that style. And that's what we got to see here executed, was just a master of this mid-jungle into side lane roaming style.
Yeah, it just, yeah. Sorry, I'm laughing at the 0 KDA, 0 kill percentage, because they did not get a single kill. That was just, it was perfection. I really just can't say anything else. It was just exactly how RNG... No. No, you don't get that word. We use another word. It was sublime from RNG. How about
Near
that?
perfection is all.
Yeah.
You know that?